Pleased to be joined now by RG3, Robert Griffin III, kind enough to give us a few moments here on Extra Rounds. Here to talk about a variety of subjects. I mean, you're getting nominated for awards again. It's almost like the Heisman all over. This time it's for an Emmy award for outstanding sports personality. You made like very little time going from active player to sports broadcaster. I mean, did you even get to breathe? Are you enjoying any sort of post-playing time down, or is it just all in on the broadcasting?
No, it is all in on the broadcasting, but I want to give you an opportunity to redo the intro because it's Griffin, not Griffith.
So the reason I say Griffith, I'm a Vikings fan. Okay. And we got,
That is true. You know what? That is actually a really good comeback. That's great because I loved Griffin, the running back. I love
right. Yeah. So let me. I mean, you know what? I'm just going to keep it in. We have to embrace our mistakes, sir.
I'm with you.
And most people just call you RG3. So
that is true. I've gotten Reggie. I've had a pretty predominant superstar musician call me Reggie before.
Reggie, okay.
I've been called R2D2.
No, no one has called you R2D2.
They have called me R2D2, like in passing, like I'm at the mall or somewhere, and they're like, "You're R2D2." I'm like, no,
man.
Nice to meet you.
Well, so let me go back to my original question. You haven't taken much time off. Like, are you sick of football yet? I would think you'd be sick of football.
Let me tell you a quick story. Okay, so one, I didn't want to get into broadcast TV. It's not anything I ever wanted to do. Broadcast agent bothered me for 3 years while I was playing for the Baltimore Ravens, telling me he thought I would be great at it. Well, thanks to him, I ended up doing an audition, and everything that's happening now is happening.
Right.
Second thing is, like, I'm not tired of football, and the reason I'm not tired of it is my first year in broadcasting, I was calling a game between Texas Tech and Houston. And they go through the first series. This is like my second game in the broadcast booth. They go through the series. Some good things happen, some bad things happen. We go to commercial break, and I start crying, right?
Crying?
Crying, all right? I know we're on UFC FIGHT PASS, but I was crying in the broadcast booth. No one knew because I was hiding it.
Right.
The reason I was crying was because I missed the game. And I'm sitting there calling the game, and I'm seeing what the quarterback's doing. I'm seeing what the coach is doing, the interaction amongst the guys. And I'm like, man, I really missed that part of it. So in that moment, I decided to pour everything I possibly had into this broadcasting career, that passion for the sport. And it's been life-changing. It's been a lot of fun just being around the game in that capacity.
I'm curious too. You're focusing more on college than the NFL. From a player standpoint, what was that shift like? Being a Heisman Trophy winner and then playing in the NFL, but also from the broadcasting standpoint. I mean, the game it's got to feel different from that standpoint. I mean, I'm a huge college guy. I'm not a huge NFL guy, mainly because I grew up with my heart breaking from the Minnesota Vikings repeatedly. But I do appreciate the college game compared to the NFL game. What is it like from your perspective on both sides as a player and as a broadcaster?
Yeah, so I mean, as a player, college football, I even go back to like high school football. What you experience in high school, playing with guys that you grew up with for 8, 10, 12 years, completely different than growing into a man on a college campus away from your parents, right? That's a completely different environment.
Right.
But college game, the tradition, the fan passion, the stories, right? The tailgating, that's a whole nother level compared to the NFL. You're tailgating in college as a fan with the other fans, the other students. In the NFL, it's more like your mom and dad and your grandpa and all of them. So it's a different environment. On the field, college football, much more wide open game. The hash marks are wider. It's a much more offensive friendly league. In the NFL, if you've noticed, they've had to change a whole lot of rules to make it easier for the offense to go score points against the defense. Can't hit the quarterback pretty much anywhere. Can't hit a guy across the middle. But as a player, I would say the game is still the same. It's off the field that's different. For example, what we do in the media, it's more about like, let's tell this player's story. In the NFL, it's more like, let's tell you why this guy sucks. And I don't like that. So I don't do that. I take my coverage from college and I do the same thing with the NFL. I'm going to tell these guys stories. I'm going to constructively criticize them and give them solutions to what they're doing wrong. And as far as like what I do in college, I call games for college. I don't do any studio work for college. For the NFL, I do all studio work. I haven't gotten into games yet, so it's a good balance for me.
Now, I'm curious, when you do share your honest opinion about a player's performance, do they ever come back to you? Do they ever hear it and come back to you? Because in mixed martial arts, I will tell you, I mean, I love the athletes of the UFC. They are some of the most sensitive people I have ever met in my life. And like, they're going to shut me down no matter what. Go, have you ever been in a fight before? No. Does it look like I've ever been in a fight before? No, I have not been. But it doesn't mean that I'm not qualified to talk about something, you know, from a technique or, tactical standpoint. Have you ever gotten any flack? And I guess, I mean, if anybody says, have you ever played a football game before? You obviously have a better answer than I do.
Yes, I have played a football game. What I will say is that as an athlete, these guys, they all believe they're the best. So if you rank them on a list and you have them at number 5, they're going to feel disrespected. It does not matter. So the way I try to approach it is I never make anything personal, right? The fight game is very personal, right? This guy, they're punching each other in the face.
Yeah.
We're out on the football field running and catching balls, tackle each other. It's a little bit different game. But I will say that because I constructively criticize them, they have a respect for it. I don't ever say they don't work hard. They're not a good person. They're not this. It's, hey, he threw a really bad pass. Here's why he threw that bad pass. Here's what he can do to get better from that bad pass. And I think they respect that part of it. But undoubtedly, I always get 1 or 2 guys over the past couple of years that get upset with you. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, they're not all going to agree with what you said.
Right. No, exactly. And, you know, it's that old saying, like, you don't play fighting. You know what I mean? You go out there and fight. You don't play fighting. But so I know you're a big UFC fan. Unfortunately, whether it's the college game, which takes place on Saturdays, or if it's a NFL game, you're probably preparing on a Saturday. Are you able to watch the fights much?
I am able to watch the fights. I just haven't been able to get to a fight.
Right.
And for me, like the UFC, it all centers around the fight game, because boxing to me is also the fight game. I'm a huge fan, and I think it just comes from my own story. I never did UFC fighting or mixed martial arts, but just the story of overcoming. So like some of my favorite fighters, like a George St. Pierre, he lost twice in his career, but he avenged both of those losses. So for me, the Matt Hughes loss and the Matt Serra loss, him coming back and getting those back, I view my own story that way. Of like, I've taken some losses in my career as a professional, but I got them back. I come back and I do this better, and I come back and I do that better. So that resonated with me. And I find it astonishing that a guy can go out there and put his whole reputation on the line every single time he goes in the cage, and his mom and his wife and his kids are watching. And whether they win, lose, or draw, they're stepping right back into that octagon. I just find that fascinating, the mindset of a fighter, and I try to apply that to my own life.
Is GSP the greatest of all time for you?
Oh, man.
He is for me. I'll be honest with you.
He's not.
Okay.
To me, the greatest fighter is John Jones.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
Dang
it. But John Jones.
You know what? Let me say this. John Jones, from an athletic and accomplishment in the octagon standpoint, he's the greatest. There's no one better than him. George, to me, is the sort of complete package, the guy the Derek Jeter, if you will, the role model outside of the octagon. But so I have no issues with you saying John.
Are you saying that I'm going to make this comparison here, okay? You're saying that John Jones is Alex Rodriguez and that George St. Pierre is Derek Jeter? Is that what you're saying right now?
I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. I think that's like George St. Pierre. When he was coming up, I was much younger. So as a young kid, you look at that as a role model, 100%. Another guy, Anderson Silva.
Right.
Absolutely. This dude beat up some of the baddest dudes on the planet.
Yeah.
Right? Dan Henderson got Dan Henderson to tap. Like, to me, that's just mind-boggling. And the one that sticks out to me the most, or two, is the front kick on Vitor.
Yeah.
He front kicked Vitor to another planet.
Yep.
And then it's the backwards punch against Forrest Griffin. When he's stepping, he knocked him out, right? He's stepping back, and Forrest Griffin's like kind of wailing at him.
Yeah, he hit him with that jab. Yeah.
Throws out a jab and just knocks him on the ground, fights over. It's like, Anderson Silva, I know he's still boxing right now, but what he did in his prime is just second to none.
Yeah, his sons are coming up boxing as well. So the Silvas are far from done when it comes to fighting. But Forrest Griffin, not Forrest Griffith.
There you go.
He's got a cushy office job these days with the UFC. We got to get you into town sometime when there's a fight where you can attend it, Robert.
Yeah, I'm down. Hey, you just let Dana and them know I'm there, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you win this award. I think you've done more than enough to deserve a night off for once.
Are you already giving me the award?
I think if you win it, yeah, like why not? You deserve a night off, and if I'm in charge of anything, I should be able to give you the award. I think I screwed up your name, so the award should be yours.
You just gotta work. You just gotta get some votes out there. It's a very tough category. We got Eli Manning, Carter, JJ Redick. Who else? Greg Olson. Like to even be in the conversation with these guys is pretty awesome because they're all super talented.
Yeah, but nobody is Robert Griffin III. That's you.
I appreciate that. Thank
you,
RG3,
I appreciate the time, sir. Hopefully we'll see you out at a UFC, and congrats on all the success as a broadcaster.
No doubt. Appreciate you, brother. God bless.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem, my guy.